Why is it that the only question we ever hear is now is never the time for Scottish independence?
Tess, first of all, there was the pandemic. That wasn't the right time. Then as an economic crisis, it's not the right time. When will it be the right time?
It's not the right time. And now is not the time to break up the union, where we need to focus on the here and now should be our number one priority.
Okay.
And I actually work in Aberdeen Royal Infirmary as a staff nurse, and I think you saying that we're reaching crisis point is wrong. We're already at crisis point. I think by going into independence, it can't get any worse. So why not now? I would say that it's getting worse because of the funding, the cost of living crisis, and the cuts to the budget that SNP get.
And John Swinney's about to cut health service again.
Tess White needs a lesson in how Scotland actually receives its funding. And so do many others who are critical of the Scottish Government's budgeting and spending. First, please understand that we do not retain all our revenue streams here in Scotland. The majority of taxation is collected by the Treasury for all the devolved nations. Basically, we give everything to Westminster. It is then decided by calculation, we all know as the Barnett formula, as to how much funding we receive as per head of population. This is then returned to Scotland as a block grant and as a fixed amount for that funding period, unless issues arise where more spending is made, like during the pandemic, or less spending is applied, like the forthcoming cuts in public services. So when cuts are made for England by Westminster, this reflects directly to the funding the devolved nations receive. So when Tess White shouts about John Swinney making cuts to the health service, this has a direct correlation to the cuts made by Westminster. Scotland has to give a flat-to-plan budget by law for every budgeting period. So understand, when we have planned to spend in certain areas on our fixed budget, and that funding is slashed by a direct consequence of Westminster, we have to find money from other areas in that now depleted funds to prop up vital services. We do not have the appropriate borrowing powers to assist with this, and the powers that we do have to be greenlit by the Treasury to obtain them. It is a disgrace that a Tory politician can get all up on an audience member blaming the Scottish Government for these cuts. If we were a normal, independent nation, we would retain all of our revenue streams and not be subject to a block grant calculated by a foreign power. You can't be critical of Scottish Government cuts if you understand how we are funded. Thank you for listening. Goodbye and good luck.